Dr. Noah has a great amount of information I'm sure he's going to share with us today, and I can't wait. So let's get right to it. Dr. Noah, it's great to have you in the Quiet Light podcast today. I appreciate you joining us.
My pleasure, Pat. Great to be here.
It is fantastic. I've been really looking forward to this conversation. You do a lot of diverse things. I had so much fun just reading up on you a lot. I know that we're going to talk specifically about the 7-Figure Expert book that you have and how people can take advantage of that. But why don't you tell the audience about you, where you're from? I saw a little bit of your background and maybe some things you've done in the past to get to here.
Well, I grew up poor in a rich neighborhood. Now, how's that for a cliche, right? Total cliche, but it's totally true. I grew up in this little town called Kennebunkport, Maine, which is one of the wealthiest communities in New England, but my family was dirt poor. And I mean that literally, because we lived at the bottom of a dirt road in a drafty, unfinished home that my parents ended up losing to foreclosure when I was just 15 years old. So from a very young age, I was painfully exposed to the gap, the chasm between the haves and the have-nots. The haves was everyone else, the community, and the have-nots was my family. Now, I know everybody listening to this show has we've all heard these motivational speakers. They'll get on stage and they'll say, well, we were poor, but we were happy. We didn't know we were poor. Well, in my family, we freaking knew we were poor. Because my mother, bless her heart, reminded us every day that we were poor and miserable. So no, it wasn't happy, it sucked. And so from a very young age, I hated being poor. And because I saw that right down the street, there's great wealth and abundance. So from the time I was a kid, I was literally, how the heck do I get from here to there, And of course, this was long before the internet or anything like that. So I did the only thing I could think of to do, which is I went to the library and I read every book in the self-help section. I just went to the self-help, the success section of the library, and I read every book, all the Stephen Coveys, the Wayne Dyers, Napoleon Hill's, Dale Carnegie, and all those, they're classics, right? And I really, really tried to get them to work. But as hard as I tried, as hard as I worked, I could just never seem to get it to work. So at the age of 25, I was living in Los Angeles and I was, broke. My girlfriend had just left me. It was like a country song, but it was true. And I decided to take my own life. I decided I don't want to be here anymore. And I decided to commit suicide at age 25. Now, at the very last moment, my life was spared, but I didn't know why. And I said, I don't know why I'm here. And I've got to find out, what am I doing on this planet? Why am I here? And I didn't know how to answer that question. So I did the only thing I could think to do, is I went back to the library, and this time I read every book in the spiritual section. I just read every book in the spiritual section to try to find, what is my purpose here on the earth? And then fast forward 5 years later, and in 1997, I had these epiphanies, and I realized exactly what was missing in all those books that I'd spent all those years reading that no one was talking about. And I realized, aha, this is why I'm here on earth. This is my purpose. And so I wrote my first book in 1998, which was subsequently published by the Chicken Soup for the Soul publisher. It was called Permission to Succeed. That was my first book. And now I've written 25 books. You can see some of them here behind me. And now I'm in 18 languages. You can see some of those languages behind me here. Yeah. And, as you mentioned, one of my new books is called The 7-Figure Expert, where I am helping people to really become that expert so you can have that life of impact, influence, and financial freedom. So really, that's how it all started, and that's how I got here.
That's an incredible story, because sometimes, you think about people talking about charmed lives and how some people are, fed with a silver spoon. Sometimes resolve comes out of difficult situations. I remember growing up, had challenges when I was young as well in the neighborhoods and where I grew up and things of that sort, and life changes. It's amazing how you've taken that and sort of applied it to this kind of situation. So let's talk a little bit about the new book. I mean, we're not going to do the shameless plug thing, but we're willing to do a shameless plug about 7-Figure Expert. So I'm excited to hear all about it. Tell us all about the book.
Well, this is something that I've been doing for over 25 years now, is, of course, having a 7-figure expert business myself and helping my clients do the same thing. And I realized just a little while ago, I'm like, I haven't written a book about this. I've written all these other books. I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't write a book about being a 7-figure expert. So I said, what the heck? Let's write that book. And, a lot of people ask me, do we really need another book about, digital marketing, online marketing stuff? There's 10 million, billion, gazillion books out there. And I understand that. But I think one of the things that makes my approach different, and what makes this book different, as well as my coaching really, is that I come from an inside out approach. And here's what I mean by that. Now, if you go to my website, you'll see that I've helped my clients add over $3 billion in sales since 1997, since I started my company. And that means I've helped people add, multiple 6 figures, 7 figures, and even 8 figures, using my methods. And what's interesting about that is that it comes from an inside out approach. Now, what I mean by that is when we look at success, it really has two aspects. There's the inner game and the outer game. So if you think about or picture two circles that meet in the middle, right? Like a Venn diagram, which is one of my favorite things. And I have a lot of Venn diagrams that I use in my teachings. But anyways, so on one circle is the inner game and one is the outer game. Now, your inner game is everything that happens between your ears that you can't see directly, but it affects everything that you do. And then your outer game is everything that you can see directly. That also affects everything that you do. So what I realized is that 90% of the success of that, $3 billion that I felt my clients make over the last 25 plus years really comes from inner game. And that's why I've written all these books on inner game. But I realized that you also need the outer game. You really have to do both. So what happens is a lot of people, come to me, they hire me as a coach, whether it's one-on-one coaching or group coaching, after they spent all this money on all these, marketing guys and all these gurus out there, but they're still stuck. They're still hitting that income ceiling, as I call it. I call it the income ceiling syndrome, and they just keep hitting their head on that income ceiling. And one of the reasons for that is because no one has taken the time to show them how to actually master their inner game as well as marry it to their outer game. So it's only when you master your inner game and your outer game that you really have that breakthrough success.
I'm sure when some of your clients come in and you start talking about this is a great philosophy. It's kind of interesting. What are the most predominant things that people are missing? Is it 85% inner or 80% outer? Which one dominates and why? I guess especially I would tie that to this kind of listener, which is a business person. Let's just use that as an example. Which one's the biggest struggle?
Well, I'll give you a perfect example to answer your question. So I was speaking at a seminar in Los Angeles for about 1,000 business owners. I mean, these are multiple 6, 7, and 8-figure earners. So very successful entrepreneurs, right? So I was giving my presentation, and I just finished, and I was walking off the stage, and a man came up to me out of the audience, and he practically grabbed me by the lapels, and he said, "Noah, you are the coach that I've been looking for. I want to hire you as my coach." Now, I didn't know this man from Adam. Ironically, his name was Adam. True story. I'm not making that up, right? And so I said, "Okay, well, what's going on?" And he said, "Well, Noah, I've hired all these marketing gurus and I spent all this money, and my company is making 7 figures. So we're at 7 figures." I said, "Well, that's great." He goes, "Well, yeah, but we've been stuck at the same level for the past 4 years. 4 years. And we haven't been able to break through that income ceiling, as you just talked about." And he said, "As soon as you were talking about inner game and outer game and head trash and your foot on the brake and everything you just said," he said, "I knew that you were the coach that I've been looking for." And that's why I love working with high achievers, right? Because they make decisions quickly and firmly. They don't mess around. They don't have analysis by paralysis. They just make decisions and go for it. So anyway, he basically hired me on the spot, and I coached him for 18 months. And in that 18 months, we were able to get his company from being stuck for the previous 4 years to over 20 million in sales in less than 18 months. That's a 600% increase in less than 18 months. And you can watch his video along with many others on my website. So what does this story mean for you, for everyone listening? So the interesting thing about this story is that 95% of what we talked about was inner game. See, he had spent all that money and, going to all these seminars, hired all these marketing gurus, which is great. And that's what enabled him to get to that 7-figure level. But he couldn't break through that income ceiling because no one had taken the time to show him his inner, or how to master his inner game. So using my inner game framework, which we call the power habit system, that's what enabled him to get 600% growth in less than 18 months. And so that really, to answer your question, that's a great illustration of the fact that really 80 to 90% of success really is your inner game.
I think one of the things I've always talked when I, speak to people, and I've been on stage talking about it, especially entrepreneurial, is to trust your instincts, which a lot of times I think your head gets in the way of those instincts at times. That you'll have an idea of, hey, this is going to be the decision that I need to make, but then all you do from that point is roll it back and second guess exactly what it is. Is that kind of what you're talking about? Is that the move that you try to help make people is be committed to a decision, or is there a process that goes into that decision that changes?
Well, you're describing a symptom of what I call head trash. So this is really what I've written, 24 plus books about, is how to take out the trash in your head. Again, I just call it your head trash. So for everybody listening to the program, if you think about your goals, right? So one of the things I always do with my coaching clients, whether, one-on-one or group coaching, we always start with, of course, what do you want, right? What are your goals? And, we've all heard that a million times. Oh, we're talking about goal setting. Oh, we've heard that a million times. Yeah, that's true. But what they don't talk about is what happens next. What happens after you set your goals? For most people, here's what happens. They'll say, well, Noah, I want X, Y, and Z, but I can't do it because of ABC. I can't do it because. And that is what is exactly holding you back. I'll give you another example. I'll give you another great example. So I was talking with another one of my clients named Charles, and I asked, just like I ask all of my clients, a question: how much do you think your head trash is going to be costing you in the next 12 months? Now, Charles had been, reading my books and studying my philosophy, so he understood, what makes me different as a coach. And so when I asked him, how much do you think your head trash is going to cost you over the next 12 months? He instantly answered $1 million. He said, Noah, if I don't get rid of this problem, if I don't take out my head trash, I'm easily going to lose out on $1 million in the next 12 months. And I said, Charles, that's very common. In fact, I hear this every single day from people that I work with, which is that my head trash is costing me, $500,000, $1 million, or $2 million a year or more. So I said, it's very common. Number two, I said, I tell you what, just give me 10% of that $1 million and I will find you $1 million in the next 12 months. In other words, if you give me $1 and I give you $10 back, is that a good deal? He goes, well, yeah, that's a great deal. So he did that. He paid me $100K, which is 10% of $1 million, right, to coach him one-on-one for a year. Well, as it turns out, I coached him for 1 year. And as it turns out, I didn't find him $1 million in the next 12 months. As it turned out, I found him $1.8 million in just 10 months. So he gave me $1. I gave him $18 back. Is that a good deal? No, that's a great deal. And not only that, he actually sent me an email and he said, Noah, guess where I am? I'm on a 7-week vacation with my wife. And he said, we just bought a new RV. And he said, this is a dream I've had for years, but I've never had the time or the money to do it until now. He said, so now because of our coaching, I just bought this new RV. We're on a 7-week vacation. We're traveling the country. This is something I've been dreaming of for years. So he said, not only do I have more money than ever before, I also have more time than I've ever had before. So that's really an example of what can happen when you take out the head trash that's actually keeping you stuck.
It's absolutely amazing. And I can see how a lot of people become more efficient. Sometimes it's decision making. Sometimes it's affirmation. It's getting to talk to someone. I think there's a lot of reasons. I don't want to just concentrate only on the book because I know you do a lot of other things. I mean, I went through the site and you had some amazing things talking about affirmations, talking about things you do in coaching, videos, things of that sort, audio books, audio on there as well. So tell us a little bit more. If we go to noahstjohn.com, tell us what all you provide there or people can leverage.
Yeah. So I believe in and offer 3 levels of service. And this is one thing that I also coach my clients on, which is done for you, done with you, and do it yourself. So if you think about the 3 levels of service, or I call them the 3 levels of offers or irresistible offers that you can and should create. And I do talk about that in the 7-Figure Expert book. But the done for you is for people who have more money than time, meaning, hey, Noah, I just want you to do this for me, right? Can you do it? So, for example, we have a book done for you service, right? Because of course I've written all these books, and there's not many authors on this planet who, number one, have written 25 books. Number two, have done everything from, I've gotten 6-figure deals from major New York publishers all the way to hybrid publishing and self-publishing. I mean, I've done it all. So no matter what people want to do, I help them with that process, getting their book done for them. For example, I had one client that we just had recently, and he's a stem cell doctor from Nashville. He told me that he's been thinking about writing a book for 10 years. We got it done for him in 8 weeks. So that's a book done for you service. So that's the done for you level. Now, here's the interesting challenge about done for you. So far, I haven't figured out how to have done for you with inner game. And here's what I mean by that. So imagine that you wanted to get in shape, right? And you say, you know what, I really want to hire a personal trainer because I want to get in great shape. Maybe I've got a wedding coming up or a reunion or something. I want to really get in great shape. So you decide to hire a personal coach, and you decide to hire me because, you hear that I'm the personal coach to the trainer to the stars. And I've got all these great success stories. You say, hey, Noah, I want you to coach me. I say, okay, great. And so I'm going to help you with your diet plan and your exercise regimen. And, here's what we're going to do. And we're going to do all of these things. It's going to be great. Okay. And you say, oh, by the way, just one thing. I go, what's that? And you say, hey, Noah, so I want you to do my sit-ups so I get 6-pack abs. Now, wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't it be amazing if we could hire someone, right, to do our sit-ups and we get 6-pack abs? If I could figure that one out, I'd be a gazillionaire by now. Because, wouldn't that be awesome? But so far, I haven't figured out how to do that. So, unfortunately,
I don't think that one's possible.
Yeah, I don't think so. But anyways, it would be great, though. But anyway, so there is a limitation. I do grant you with the done for you. So it doesn't apply necessarily to all offers. That is true. So that's why it really only applies to outer game offers like, book done for you or funnel done for you or social media or things like that, which we have all those services. So that's the done for you. Then we have the do it yourself, which is for people who have more time than money, right? So done for you is you have more money than time, meaning, hey, just do it for me, Noah. And the do it yourself is, I just need some help, and can you just show me what to do? So that includes books, online courses, and things like that are just, and we also have like do it yourself audios, as you mentioned, so there's lots of different ways that you can have the do it yourself. And I highly recommend that everybody does that. Like, for example, you should have a book, you should have an online course and so forth. And that's why we help people do those. And then the middle is the done with you, right? And that's my favorite, because that's when I get to actually help people, whether it's one-on-one coaching or group coaching, like Adam, like Charles, the examples that I shared with you. So like we have a program called the 12-week breakthrough, where I am known for helping people make more in just 12 weeks than they did in the previous 12 months while actually winning their lives back. So this is the opposite of the hustle and grind that we hear from all the hustle bros, as I call them, right? They're hustling and grinding. You got to be working 14, 18, 16 hours a day or else you're a loser. And I'm like, really? Really? That's it? That's your life. And I'm going, no. I mean, I don't know about you, but I want a life, right? I want my business to serve me, not the other way around. But so many entrepreneurs are living the flip side, meaning they're living for their business versus having their business serve their life. Like Charles, that example I gave you, he wasn't able to take that 7 weeks off before because he didn't have these systems in place. So anyway, that's the done with you level. That's where we have, like the 12-week breakthrough, which is a group program, or the one-on-one that we have. So anyway, I highly recommend for all entrepreneurs, you should at least do your best to have the done for you, the done with you, and the do it yourself offers if you possibly can, because that will just help you, really to increase your revenues really, really quickly.
Dr. Noel, one of the things about your 12-week breakthrough is you mentioned that I think sometimes there's strength in numbers, that people just want to understand that their problems and the things they're dealing with in business, maybe even in life, are just like the other 15 people in the group. I don't know how many are there, but hypothetically, do you think that strength in numbers type thing really will help people make a lot of leaps just on that level itself?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love group coaching for that exact reason, because what will happen is one of the people in the group will, ask me a question, or they'll bring something up. And then another member will say, wow, Noah, you're right. I never thought of it that way. And that really applies to me. And that's why every week, we have the group meetings, and I'm giving assignments every week, so that it's not just, hey, how's your dog? What happened this week? No, it's all about momentum and taking action. But more importantly, at least from my standpoint, is following a system, a framework. And here's what I mean by that. What I've noticed in the guru industry, there's two basic kinds of success stories. There's the personality-driven success and the system-driven success. Now, personality-driven success is exactly what it sounds like. It's dependent upon that guru's personality. Right. So if you look at a lot of the big names and the big personalities that we see in this industry, it's completely based on that person's essentially larger than life personality. Hey, look at my jet, look at my helicopter, look at my yacht. Aren't I amazing? And look at all this money I've made. And I'm like, well, that's great for you, buddy, but have you helped anyone else make money? And that's how you can see that it's really about personality. And I understand that's all about marketing and positioning and branding. And I get that. And that's not necessarily wrong. But the problem is that if the guru's main or only success story is themselves, then what if I don't have that personality? Well, then you're out of luck, right? And so I know this because I gave them a whole bunch of money, all those gurus, all those personality-driven guys, only to find out they can't teach their way out of a paper bag because it's completely dependent on their personality. And I'm like, well, I don't have that personality. So, well, you're out of luck. Too bad. And so what I've developed is a system-driven success. And that's how do you know that is true? It's because it's not about the person or the coach. It's about the success stories, the case studies. As you mentioned, when you go to my website, when you go to noahstjohn.com or breakthroughwithnoah.com, it's not about me doing all these great things. Oh, look at all this money I've made. Of course, you want your coach to have success, right? You want them to have done something. You don't want to be following someone who's living in a van down by the river, right? So, to quote Chris Farley. But anyway, the point is you want to make sure that other people have succeeded using the system, using the framework, the formula. That's when you have a fill in the blank, paint by numbers, and that's what helps people get that hockey stick growth.
That's a really good point. I mean, I think you have so many diverse topics you can concentrate on for entrepreneurs rather than it's helping their business and helping them personally. I want to talk a little bit more about the book as we sort of close, but I did have a question because you said one time read something that you had you listed as the number one horrible mistake most entrepreneurs make when it comes to habit change. Now, you may have covered that in the answers you've already given slightly, but I was really curious about that. What is that in your view?
So the number one biggest mistake that entrepreneurs or anyone makes when it comes to habit change is trying to use willpower. Right now, that's what we've all heard a million times. Well, listen, if you want to change your habits, just grit your teeth and do it. For example, if you're procrastinating, that's one of the biggest habits that people come to me and want help with. Hey, Noah, I know what to do, but I'm just not doing it. Right? I keep putting it off. I keep procrastinating. And what do the gurus say? Well, if you're procrastinating, don't do that anymore. Oh, wow. Thanks. That's so helpful. I really appreciate that. Never thought of that one. You know what I mean? That's the kind of advice we're getting out here. It's like, really? Thank you. Wow. It's like, if you want to lose weight, go ahead and do it. Thank you.
The basic answer.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. That's pretty much the advice you're getting out there. And believe me, I know I paid for it, so it's terrible. Anyway, the point is that willpower is a terrible way to try to change a habit. So that's why in my framework and, in my power habit system, I show you what a habit actually is that enables you to actually make those changes and those transformations. I'll give you a perfect example. I'm working with a client right now, one of my one-on-one clients named David. And, he came to me and one of the things he wanted to make more money. Yes. But he also wanted to lose some weight. So exactly, kind of related to what I was talking about earlier. And, what I showed him was that, you get into these habitual patterns of behavior, which we all do, right? But so in order to break and create a new habit, we have to understand what a habit actually is, right? And so I walked him through that process. Well, within literally 3 weeks of our coaching together, he's already started a new exercise program. He's going to a gym, which literally, and I'm not making this up, has been across the street from his office for the last 10 years. He never walked into it. And within 3 weeks of our working together and coaching him, he started an exercise program. Now he's got a Pilates instructor, and they were literally across the street, for 10 years. And it's like, okay, why didn't you walk across the street before? Well, because no one had taken the time to show him what a habit actually is, let alone how to transform it. And he's already, losing weight. He's lost, already like 8 pounds in 3 weeks, and he's doing great. So, but you see what I mean? That's a great example of how not to change a habit. Don't try to use willpower because it really doesn't work very well.
That's a great point, and it's something that everyone should sort of take to heart. And if they want to expand on that, they know how to get in touch with you. So let's talk a little bit more as we close a little bit about the book. So you have a site that's breakthroughwithnoah.com that people can find the book, My 7 Strategies to Add 7 Figures to Your Business This Year. I know you've covered that some, but let's talk specifically about what they can do when they come there and what you're going to offer them.
So breakthroughwithnoah.com, easy to remember. I'm the breakthrough coach, right? That's what they call me. So breakthroughwithnoah.com. There's an 11-minute video training. You can watch a really great overview of what I do, my philosophy, and what makes my coaching and training different. And then you can also book a complimentary breakthrough consultation with me or one of my breakthrough coaches at breakthroughwithnoah.com. Now, for the book, The 7-Figure Expert, here's the book right here. It's called The 7-Figure Expert. Your ultimate guide to a life of more impact, influence, and financial freedom. This book is available for free at 7figureexpertbook.com. That's easy to remember. 7figureexpertbook.com. Remember, make sure you put the book in there, 7figureexpertbook.com. So the book is free because you're watching this program right now. I've covered the cost of the book. So we just ask you to cover the shipping, and we ship anywhere on planet Earth. So 7figureexpertbook.com and breakthroughwithnoah.com.
That's amazing. And I would encourage people to go out there and at least get that information and start the ability to, start working with a group like, even if it's someone else, you want them to make sure that they have the right information. But Dr. Noah, you offer so many great things to people, and that offer to be able to get the book is great as well. We appreciate you coming in and talking about this today. We'll make sure we have links up for everything and to your LinkedIn. So again, Dr. Noah, I appreciate you coming to the Quiet Light podcast today.
My pleasure.